Is it okay to cycle with hip impingement? The growing pain that you feel in the front of your hip right here. A lot of times people feel it come on with cycling, or they felt it throughout the day and they're wondering, is it okay to actually continue cycling? Because that's what I like to do. Well, I'm going to show you in a video today. This is going to be my bike seat, and I'll show you some modifications that we make for some of the clients that we see virtually and in person at Performance Place. Hey everybody, I'm Sebastian at Performance Place Sports Care, part of the local world famous chiropractors in Costa Mesa, California. Now, we're going to get right into the cycling aspect of it. And first, understand the mechanics that are associated with hip impingement, because it'll give you a better idea of what your possibilities are. Now, I remember seeing, there was a period of time where I did century rides and so on. And so I remember following behind this guy. And so he was pulling pretty hard, but also too, he had this weird, like you can see him like a mile away almost, like you can see what was going on. And he had, in his scenario, he had hip arthritis. And so he had limitations of hip range of motion, but as you can kind of see, as he was going through his pedal stroke, when he get back, his hip would be close to the bar. And as he comes forward, he starts to flare out. And this is why you can see him a mile away, because like you can see this wingtip come out. And as he started to go down, it would straighten out, it would go up, and so on. And the reason why he would do this is because of the pure mechanics associated with most internal hip pathology. Hip impingement is considered like a light version of hip arthritis, if you will, mainly because it's similar mechanics that bother it. The difference is with hip impingement, a lot of times the range of motion can come back, while with hip arthritis, there's limitations. You can't get that far because now there's a bony obstruction which is stopping it. And that's why when he got to the top, there was a bony obstruction here which was stopping him from actually coming close to the bar. Okay, so he can't hug the bar anymore, which that's okay. But dealing with hip impingement, a lot of times you can get back to that position if you wanted to, and it's usually advised that you do so. So one thing we can do is you can actually continue to cycle if you just allow that flare. All right. I'm not saying it's a long-term plan. Sometimes people will actually shim a section of the cleat to allow a little bit more external flare. I'm not going to say that's a good long-term plan, but short-term it should be okay, maybe a week or two. And then you take the shim out and then you go back to normal riding mechanics. The reason is because if you do this forever, you'll end up having other problems that arise from it. And we all can probably agree that this is probably not a good power position into the pedal. All right, so that's number one. Second thing you do is raise the seat, because I mentioned that before that if you go like this, as you started to come up or bring the chest close to the knee, it would flare out. And so if you bring the seat a little bit more up, then potentially you won't have to go as high, and you'll decrease the amount of potential impingement range. So all right, so that's number two. The third thing is you can actually, and I'll go like this for it here. The third thing you can do is, since hip impingement is essentially one of two things that provoke it. It's thigh movement towards a fixed chest, such as I just mentioned, like a pedal stroke, or it's a movement of the torso over a fixed femur. Overall, the end result is a smaller angle here. And so one thing you can do is change stem height. Some people really love this arrow position, and that's cool, but combining the pedal stroke with a forward lean of the torso is asking for a little bit of trouble here if you're in a hip impingement category. So one thing you could do is just go here, if that doesn't, and you're on the high portion of the bar, or you can go a little bit more back, and so push. I remember our cycling coach told us as we go uphill, you push into the bar using the flat of the hand, and so you can create a little bit of abdominal tension there, but also you bring the torso upright a little bit. You can also raise the stem. So those are all versions or changes that you can make. You can talk to your bike fitter as well. I'm not a bike fitter, but based upon the mechanics associated with hip impingement, these are things that usually work in the short term. Now, we have lots of other videos on YouTube with different exercises and stretches that we actually use to resolve hip impingement. It's important to note that the person that I talked about earlier, he's not getting that hip range back. And I'm not going to say it's because he waited too long or so on, but generally speaking, whenever we see someone and we assess what to do with them, we either tell them, look, you're not getting that range back, or look, you can get that range back. I can see it feels gummy in there, which is a good thing, and you can get that range back, and it's in your best interest to do so. I know it hurts to do the range, but you have the range. Keep it. All right, so user rehabilitation follows along with that. There's pain management, which are some of the strategies I just talked about here. Changing the environment, changing the habit, changing the activity, decreasing mileage, so on. Pain management is one part, but as you know, you may want to get back into the aero position. You may want to get back into your mileage. In that case, pain management is okay, but it's a short-term strategy. So you have to resolve the root problem. And so that really comes down to restoring function of areas that are putting too much load on the hip. And that may be something like core support. It may be a weak glute medius, glute max. It may be a weak adductor. It may be a lot of things. And so identifying what's going on in the root cause and then restoring that function is the way out of just pain management and also having recurring flare-ups. But at Performance Place, we specialize in seeing people with groin pain, with sports hernias, lower abdominal strains, oblique strains, low back pain, sciaticas, you name it. If it's in the lower quarter here, we see a lot of it. And so we'd love to help you with it. We have virtual and in person. And as you see through some of these YouTube videos I've mentioned before, people fly in to see us. So come see us. We are close to Disneyland, close to the beach. There's great riding out here. So come see us, stay for a few days. Let us assess to figure out what to do with you. Or if you don't want to fly in, we have virtual services as well where we assess movement via just like so and ask you some questions. The long-term play is usually pain management plus restoring function. So that requires a program to be designed. It's not a one-time off treatment, and I think we all know that. We don't want it to come back. And there's something that's causing the problem. Let's figure out what it is and get it to go away. All right, if you guys want to take advantage of the webinar, it's in the corner or in the link description below. We'll see you guys next time.